We've just arrived to North Carolina's Harrah's Cherokee Casino. We're honestly pretty sleep deprived, only running on about 3 hours of sleep, but we're here to win a WSOP circuit main event. This is my first time in North Carolina, and honestly, I love how far out in the mountains this casino is. It really feels like a place you'd go to escape the real world. Cabins, campers, and tents. I never thought a casino would be built out here. The only downside was trying to find a taxi or Uber back to the airport. I think someone tried quoting me around $600 for an hour drive to the closest airport. Yikes. Anyways, I'm still super happy to be out here. So as we walk in, the first thing I am told from the floor is that I cannot have a camera at the table. Crap. I put the camera away and decided to sneak each recording as my hands came to me. That means I was not able to get all the betting action, and I will be pausing on the hole cards to explain action. So let's get to the poker. About 10 minutes in, we pick up a nice looking hand with pocket jacks. It's level 2 and the blinds are 100, 100, 100. We're in the low jack and we decide to open. We have a 30k starting stack and we make it 300. Hijack decides to 3-bet my raise to 800, and small blind cold calls and big blind calls as well. I go ahead and complete the action with just the call, and I could 4-bet here, but I really feel like hijack has a hand here. So we just make the call. Call's always fine here. Flop comes ace of spades, king of spades, ace of hearts. Wow, that is not our flop. Small blind checks, big blind checks, and I check back as well. The pre-flop aggressor now asks, what's the minimum bet? We all say 100 and he throws out 100 for the one big blind bet. I smell ace king in this player's range. Small blind calls, big blind folds, and I go ahead and make the call. The turn comes the 6 of clubs. Everyone checks back to the aggressor. He now fires for 1800. Small blind folds, and I go ahead and lay down jacks here. I can't see us beating anything. The hijack player turns over pocket kings for the flop boat. Glad we dodged a massive loss there. Could have been a bad cooler if I decided to 4-bet pre-flop. So after some folding and not doing much, we find a spot with pocket fives in middle position. Blinds are 200, 200, 100. At level 3, we open it up to 500. We get a low jack call, cutoff call, and small blind call. It's 4 ways, and we get a flop of 6, 7, deuce, rainbow. We're not loving the 4 ways, so when small blind checks, I go ahead and check back with the intentions of calling a cutoff or low jack bet. When the cutoff decides he wants to bet 1,000, small blind calls, I call, and low jack folds. Obviously not loving it, but this could be a semi-bluff in cutoff's range, and small blind is probably chasing a draw. We now see a 9 of clubs on the turn. Everyone checks, and we go to the river. The river brings out the 8 of spades for the low end of the straight. We're still not super in love with our spot, so we decide to just check after small blind checks, and now cutoff fires for 3,000. It's a pretty polarizing bet, so when small blind makes the call, I think all we can do is just side call and see it through. Cutoff shows ace 5 of diamonds for the low end of the straight. Small blind mucks, and we chop up the pot. Interesting hand. A few orbits later, we lose a small pot with ace 3 of clubs. We get nothing to connect. We're just forced to check fold. Stack goes down to about 28,000. We later pick up king jack of diamonds from under the gun. It's still level 3 and we open it up to 500. Button calls, small blind and big blind both fold. It's heads up to a flop of queen of diamonds, queen of spades, and 2 of diamonds. We c-bet for 700, hoping for an early fold or a diamond on the turn if button does call. Button makes the call and we get the 10 of diamonds on the turn. Let's go. We have a flush and an open-ended straight flush redraw, or in other terms, a royal flush draw. We now bet for 1500 and button quickly makes the fold. Crap, we were hoping we're against the queen. Oh well, stack is now at 34,000. A few moments later, we find a spot with king jack off from middle position. We open it up to 500. It's still level 3 and we get 4 callers. The cutoff, button, small blind, and big blind all call. This table seems very sticky and they seem to like to call a lot. I feel like it's a pretty weak table. I feel like we can run this table. Hindsight, we may be getting a little cocky. So anyways, we get a flop of ace of hearts, 10 of clubs, 7 of clubs. 2 clubs on the board, and it checks all the way around. The turn comes a 6 of spades, and small blind now leads this turn for 800. Big blind folds, and we make the call. This is probably a bit sticky, but just river a queen of diamonds for the absolute nuts. Cutoff folds, and button now raises to 5,000. Crap. Now we're just thinking, why did we call the small blind lead? And when small blind folds, now I just feel like this is a terrible price to call for a gut shot. So we fold, and our chips are back down to 30,000. Not much going for us there. After about 25 minutes of folding, we pick up ace-5 of diamonds from under the gun. It's still level 3. Yes, these are long levels. We open it up to 500 from the low jack. We now get a 3-bet by an aggressive player in the hijack. He makes it 1,800. I consider putting in the 4-bet once it folds back to me, but knowing that he's aggressive, I want to keep bluffs in, so I just make the call. The flop comes the 6 of diamonds, 8 of spades, 9 of clubs. Rainbow board, 1 diamond. We're unsure of what to do, so when we check and now he fires for 2,800, extremely polarizing, I ask myself, why didn't I just pull the trigger to 4-bet? Because he probably had air and I probably could have got him to fold. So, not sure what I'm keeping bluffs in for, but I was feeling pretty tired and probably not playing my best. Anyways, I have to fold, but I still make the stupid call, and I just pray for my any turn to improve my hand. So when the turn comes the king of hearts, no diamond, we're only drawing to a 7 to win this hand. We could fire to try to get him off something, but with the king coming, maybe it's not that smart, so we just check. He fires for 6,800, and we're just forced to fold. Looking back at this, I probably should have either 4-bet pre and pray that he folds, or just fold pre-flop. I think folding there against his 3-bet, even though he was an aggressive player, isn't the worst there. Stack is down to 22,000. Now coming into level 4, we have a really interesting spot on the button with pocket jacks again. Blinds are 400, 400, 200, and we have an under the gun limp. He's been playing extremely loose and playing a lot of hands. When he limps in for 400, it folds to me, and I decide to raise it back at him to 1,400. Now, there's a player directly to my left who just sat down. He's in the small blind, and he just makes the flat call. It's a very, very interesting call because I think GTO says there are no raises. I mean, there are no flat calls there with how deep we are, and he should only be 3-betting my raise. So I have no clue what this could be. Maybe a lot of weak pair holdings. Honestly, I was thinking like pocket nines. Anyways, now under the gun limper makes the call as well, and the flop comes 10-4-9 with 2 spades. We have an overpair, and when small blind checks, under the gun now donk leads into me for 2,000. This seems always super weak, so I just make the flat call. But when small blind now raises to 6K, alarm bells are going out of my ears right now, and I'm worried I'm really behind whatever small blind has now. I have no clue how he plays, but this just feels really strong. I'm definitely ahead of under the gun, but small blind making a flop raise like that just seems super strong. Under the gun now shoves, and I'm with a decision that could make or break my first bullet. I go into the tank and I consider folding, but I know I'm ahead of under the gun's range. But what does small blind have here? He's played this hand super weird. I'm not sure what to do. I end up deciding to reshove my stack, and small blind snap calls and shows pocket kings. Wow. Under the gun has queen 9, not surprised, and we have a run out, and we do not improve on that run out. Wow. Anyways, that was a fast bullet. We're pretty upset, and I immediately go re-enter our second bullet, and I'm pretty sure I am on tilt. Writing this in the future, looking back, I'm asking myself, why am I still firing? I need to go get some rest. But my tilted and sleep-deprived ass had better ideas. So here is the second bullet. We come back to a new table with our second bullet at level 4 with blinds still at 400, 400, 200. We have pocket threes from middle position. The undergun player opens to 1,200, and I flat call here with threes. It folds to small blind, and he now squeezes it to 5,000. Big blind folds, undergun calls, and honestly, I should be folding here. GTO says to fold, but I'm tired and I just want to gamble. I call. Flop comes ace of spades, king of hearts, 7 of diamonds. Small blind C bets for 4K, and now under the gun player calls, and I fold. And think about the 3,800 chips I just burned away calling a squeeze. We're already down to 23,000. It's looking like our North Carolina dream will be put to an end only 3 hours into this trip. Lol. We find another spot with king queen off from under the gun. We open it up to 1,000 and button calls. Small blind and big blind fold. We're heads up to a flop of ace of hearts, 4 of hearts, 2 of diamonds. We c bet for 1,500, button calls, and turn is now the jack of clubs. We've only got a gut shot, and we say screw it, let's punt another 3,500. Button makes the quick call, and all I can think about is how good it's going to feel when I pass out on a bed. The river is now the 4 of diamonds. The flush breaks out. I'm holding the queen of hearts though, but I decide to still put villain on a missed flush draw. LOL, what am I thinking? I make it 7,500, and button snaps me off with 3-5 of spades. Wow, just a flop straight. I'm surprised he didn't just raise me. Goes to show how scared live players can be though. What a donkey I am. A few moments later, maybe less than 10 minutes, we have ace 10 of hearts with only about 4,000 chips behind. We're on the button, middle position opens. We go ahead and stick 4,000. It's about 10 big blinds. It folds back to middle position. He calls and shows the cowboys. Let's see a run out.
Cowboy.
46.
You got the,
Okay?
you got the winner.
This is the side pot. I
That
haven't
doesn't
done
look like
anything. I
cowboy.
only took out the main pot. Okay, guys? No more action.
Cowboy. All right, baby. Spade, spade, spade.
Ace kings.
Ace and king.
So
Well, guys, the journey of the WSOP Circuit Main Event in North Carolina comes to an end. We literally only played for less than 3 hours. Honestly, probably the biggest donk off of chips I've ever seen, I've ever even experienced. But sometimes we just do not perform well, especially when our body isn't rested. We now finally go get some sleep and plan on playing other events during the week. GG Main Event. On a side note, my degenerate ass did try to re-enter, but they only allowed 2 bullets per flight. In hindsight, this probably saved me so much money. So I'm glad we were only allowed to re-enter once. We'll get him next time.